Hola, ¿cómo estás? Bien? Okay. You know you bien. You know you bien too. Okay? We highly favored right here in this area, in this realm. We highly favored, blessed up, stress less, shame less. Yeah. Anyways, welcome to the Outlandish Blueprint. I was originally calling this YouTube channel Star Talk, but the Outlandish Blueprint, it fits. We gonna Star Talk today. I wanted to give you some info on the solar return chart. Why would anybody, what the fuck is that, Taylor? And why would anybody want to know about that? That's why you need to stay tuned. Because I'm gonna tell you. You can also call me Resource Queen. I got them resources. Resource Empress. Resource. I don't know. I'm still finding my way with understanding my dynamic here. However, yes, I wanted to go over a great resource called the Solar Return Chart. It is a chart / tool used by those in the astrology community, those who are interested in esoteric astrology, not just wanting to scratch the surface and be like, Cancers cry, Pisces are sensitive. These are for the people who want to use astrology as a self-development tool to get to know their strengths and weaknesses, to understand what's going on, to learn how to navigate in their life and go with the current of what the universal and cosmic energies are producing for you in the collective each year. So if that's something you're interested in, stay tuned. Okay, welcome back. I don't know if I put an intro in here or not, but we'll see how I feel. But anyways, the solar return chart. What is it? Okay, so we all know about the natal return. There ain't no natal return. You only born one time. So we all know about the natal chart, right? That's the birth chart. The chart that was taken recorded once you took your very first breath. You need to know the time you were born, the location you were born at, day, month, year, right? That gives you a picture of the cosmos, the skies. It's still shot because the planets in this world is always moving. So with those exact details, the natal chart is going to give you information on your inner wiring, your inner self, who you are from the inside out. It can tell you about your outside. It can tell you about your health. It could tell you about your husband. It could tell you about your wife. It could tell you about your children. It could tell you about a lot of different things. That's the beauty of astrology. So the solar return chart, you might ask, or you didn't ask, just work with me, Solar return chart is a chart that is basically a birth chart of your year, each year. So we take the word solar return, right? So the sun, it takes the sun 365 days to revolve around, the earth to revolve around that. And so your solar return is your birthday. But each year, the planets that are surrounding the sun happen to be in different locations than what they were when you were born. So the solar return chart is, in essence, a very useful tool to help you forecast and know the psychological themes of your year, each year. Every time your birthday comes around, every time it gets back to whatever season and the exact degree of the sun that you were born, that's your solar return. And then there's a chart that supports it. So as I mentioned, the solar return chart is a predictive I don't like to say predictive. I like to say forecast. It is a forecasting tool that helps you understand the psychological events in your year. Why would you want to know some stuff like that? Well, first of all, maybe you're crazy. I'm just kidding. You ain't crazy. But there's a lot of different things that happen throughout the year. There's things that you need to come into and grow, and there's energy supporting that. There's going to be challenges and obstacles throughout your years. There's going to be revolution. That's not what I say. You might have some talents and skills revealed to you. You're going to have opportunities. And so when you are aware of what's going on and what you might be experiencing throughout the year on a psychological level, you can better navigate. You can understand and take advantage of the planetary influences that are surrounding you with having that awareness. So it's a really awesome opportunity, a tool, resource to better go with the flow of what the year is guiding you to go into. Because we all got purposes. And sometimes, people are just flowing and they're not understanding what's going on, and you're not really centered within yourself. You lose track, and the spirit forces are like, we sent this motherfucker down here to go to the children's hospital in 2018 and become a volunteer and follow their heart. They keep choosing to ignore it. We might have to have them abort their mission because they're not really centered in themselves. They got too lost in the external world. So let's go ahead and hit that big ass red button and eject these motherfuckers. Let's have a meeting with him because he's not, or she's not getting it. So yeah, get into solar return chart readings for yourself. The solar return chart is a really cool thing to have in your awareness, because one thing to know, some cool facts about it is, within knowing that, we have birthdays, we start to feel shifts of energy. And typically the solar return charts for your next year, you'll start witnessing the energy shifts as long as 3 months to short as 20 days before your birthday. So it's just something great to prepare, get yourself mentally prepared, understand that these shifts are going to be happening, so you're not caught off guard when it does. And then again, you can continue referencing this particular chart throughout the year. Great ass resource. Yeah. You'll have better guidance and knowing in the direction of what you're going through the year. So, what I'm going to do now that I've explained what a solar return chart is, I'm going to give you a little bit more essence of the solar return by reading you a solar return script that was made by Mary Fortier. And she has this amazing book that has been my friend for the past 2 years, just because it gives you everything you need to know. It's really easy to digest. It's sectioned. I'm one of those people, I don't read in chronological order. I read whether it's power, the 48 laws of power, I'll strum through and I'm I want to read, but I want to read, a segment of something. And I can read 80 pages, but it's I don't want to start in the front to the back, and yeah, that's just not how I get down sometimes. So this book is cool because it's titled, I have it on Kindle, but it also comes in hard copies and then this paperback copies as well. But yeah, it's great because you pull up your chart, which you can find on Astro-Seek. You can find on Astro-Seek. That one might be a little bit tougher to understand. My number one recommendation would be astrotheme.com. And they named the solar return chart the solar revolution chart. So if you just look on Google, you say, hey, I want to find my solar return chart calculator, you'll see a few options. As I mentioned, there's Astro-Seek. Astro theme has been the best for me because it has everything organized pretty well. So once you pull up your chart, which I can show you how to do that. Once you pull up your chart, then this book is great because you'll have your chart here. You can print it out or record it down on a journal, and then you can navigate your way through the table of contents and understand not only the planetary placements and the signs that your solar return chart characterizes for your year, but also the aspects to help you understand, like, just all in all. But I'm going to read you a sample of the solar return script, which is something that will describe why you want to use it. It'll give you more information. And then I'll tell you a little bit of my own personal experience and what I'm experiencing this year as we speak, and new discoveries that I've found, like new patterns, new systems for the year that I'm experiencing. Maybe it will help you. All right, so let's get into it. The solar return script. The solar return is a birth chart of a new year. I said that. In your life. Each year you are faced with new issues as different areas of your life become more dominant. The solar return is like a script for a year-long play. Perfect analogy. And you're just getting your script, and you're gonna play the main character, giving that main character energy. Okay? That's what you're gonna do. You get to play the lead. The script has a beginning, a middle, and an ending, and it also has a theme, a plot, and several subplots, twists, and a twist or two, and a moral of the story, also known as the spiritual interpretation. That one's really important, and you can find that spiritual interpretation by looking at your solar return Neptune house placement and then having this book. The theme is well defined, and usually it is easy to identify with. Oh, sorry, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Okay, but the theme, so like as I said, right, you have your natal chart, and we have our natal placements. Natal sun, Pisces. Rising, Aries. Natal moon, Leo. This year, my solar return sun, of course, is still Pisces, but in my natal, my sun is in the 12th house. And my solar return this year is in the 8th house. My rising this year, even though my natal rising is Aries, my solar return rising is in Aries. And then my solar return moon is in Pisces instead of Leo, like it is natally. And it's in the 8th house as well. It's in the solar 8th house as well. When naturally it's in my 5th house. That's why you like me. Anyways, the theme will be found deeply within where the sun and moon houses are, because your sun represents your conscious and your focus, your main focus, solar return wise. And your moon is your emotions and the fluctuations that you'll have emotionally throughout the year for your solar return. And then also through your rising. So your big three, how your big three kind of gives you a theme of who you are. It's not every part of you who you are. Your big three in your natal chart gives you an understanding. Your big three is going to help you understand your theme. My rising for my solar return chart this year is in Cancer. I like it. I'm a water sign naturally. I like it. I feel like my intuition has definitely been in develop mode. There's some other discoveries. I'm gonna get back to this because your girl can get sidetracked. Anyways, I'm glad you're rocking with me still. If you are, you're learning. You deserve a high five. You are developing yourself just by being here and getting some information on your resources. You should give yourself a round of a motherfucking applause, bitch. because you're here. Okay, let's get back into it though. Okay. The theme is well identified, and usually it is it's easy to identify with. Each year, tasks need to be accomplished, opportunities need to be taken advantage of, conflicts need to be handled, talents need to be developed, and growth should occur. Which, you know, some of y'all O's, I'm not gonna call you hoes, I'm gonna call you O's or woes. Sometimes we get overly caught up in something, and that's just not the direction. It's just not the direction. So the solar return chart will be a great yearly review before you go into your year. And yes, let's say your solar return already happened for the year. It's still good. Still pull it up and still do some research on what you're experiencing so that you have an understanding. It's never too late. It's never too late. It is great when you can, you know, hone into it a little bit sooner so you're prepared. But if you do it like in the middle of the year, that's fine. Then you can also be like, oh, I am experiencing that, you know. You'll have more insight. Sometimes, you know, if you look at it a little bit too soon, you can psych yourself out. So there's pros and cons to all of that. And you know, there's some laws whenever you are someone who taps into divine order, which that's what astrology is, can't be tyrannical because it's divine order. So you can look ahead of time, but again, the downfall is you might accumulate unnecessary anxiety, and I'm speaking out of experience, y'all, because I'm like, I got the power, and then be like, oh wait, it says that my son is going to be in the 8th house, and when I look at the 8th house, it talks about death and all that. Yeah, you can psych yourself out. So take your time. Okay, let's get back into it. So growth should occur. All of these changes are going to be written in the script, which is your solar return chart. But allowances are made for a great deal of improvisation. So you improv your life, okay? The planetary positions show the area of interest and prominent activities. So, i.e. how I said my sun in this solar return chart theme this year is in the 8th house, moon in the 8th house, I got Jupiter in the 8th house. The 8th house is a prominent, dominant area of interest, which have not only to do with death and rebirth, but it has a lot to do with taboo things, sex, and I definitely will give and put more information out about what my year looked like and how I've come to digest what it was saying in my own personal solar return chart. So yeah, planets in the houses will let us know the areas of interest and prominent activity. The aspects, so if you don't know what an aspect is, also stay tuned. I'm going to be dropping basic astrology videos so that you get the 101 of the 101. You know how to read the glyphs, because the glyphs really tell you what the relationships between the realms that the planets operate on. Great information. Bet you didn't know that. All through symbols. So I'll give more information on how to do that, but just for your knowing right now, aspects are, i.e. like moon conjunct Jupiter or Venus sextile. So the sextile, the conjunction, the trine, the square between the relationships between planets. So I was saying this is the relationships between realms. So like ethereal realm and the realm of matter. That's what the planets' relationships are, but planets can have relationships with planets. And so it's saying that the aspects show the areas of support or conflicts of interest. The themes for the year are reflected as a cohesive whole in the The themes for the year are reflected as a cohesive whole in the interpretation of the entire solar return chart. They are seen as the motivating psychological force behind experiences of the year. That's power, baby. That's the power. That's the power. That's the power of Pine Sol, baby. And that's why you should go into knowing more about your solar return chart, beach. Like, you plan. You need to understand what's going on so you can, you know what I'm saying? Like, on these hoes, like, you'll know what's going on. You're like, okay, psychological also has to do with your emotional body. Psychological, mental, emotional, spiritual self. It has a lot to do with a lot of other realms, all types of bodies. So if you're understanding, okay, this year I'm going to be releasing and coming into a new thing, I'm going to go through a lot of transformations of beliefs and shit, you know, okay? And you'll be more supportive. And then after you look at the themes for the year, then you can look at the themes for the month. You can look at the transits and how the transits of each month will affect you. And then you can look at the week and how the week will affect you. And then you can look at the day. And it's just like you can like zoom in and you're like, yeah, I am so aware of my surroundings. And I'm so aware of what energies are helping me and challenging me. And I'm that bitch. I'm that girl. Yeah. And you'll have more control. Like, you have more control, baby. So, like, get into it, yeah. Get into it, yeah. Your homework, now that we have had a good understanding of what the solar return chart is and why you should be using it, your homework is, I want you to pull up your chart. First of all, if you're just getting started with astrology, I don't need you to pull up your birth chart. I need you to know what time you were born. You should know it by heart. Just like your social security number, you should know what time you were born. You shouldn't need to be asking your mom. You should know. You should know that by heart. Know what time you're born. Pull up your birth chart one time if you have never done that. But your homework, pull up your solar return chart. Go to astrotheme.com. Pull up the free solar revolution chart. It's going to ask you for the basic information I just told you. Name, date of birth, location of birth, time of birth, if you're a male or a female, and then it'll take you to the rest. It's going to pull up a little circle at the top. Don't get intimidated by that. Scroll down. When you scroll down, then you'll see you'll see if it'll break it down in a few ways. You'll see the houses, and you want to look for, the first thing you want to look for is your ascendant. Then you want to look at all your houses and what houses are which. They're going to be different from your birth chart. Sometimes you might have a year where your birth chart, your solar return chart replicates your birth chart in like the order, in the houses and everything. That's a very special year. I'm also going to link a important key guide of like how to navigate your solar return chart. It's really simple. It comes in handy dandy. It's by this wonderful website, Plutonic Desire. I fuck with them. Tap into that too, just to have a basic understanding. And then the last piece of homework is get this book called what is it called? Planets in the Solar Return, Yearly Cycles of Transformation and Growth. The link will be in the bio. Stay tuned for part 2. I'm going to give you more information on my personal year for this year and a little bit of some in past years, so that you have insight. And it's going to be great to potentially bring other people on for specific placements that they've experienced and for them to give insight too. Because it's like, you know, you might see something, you might get freaked out and you want to be like, how might this feel? And I'm that person that will go into forums and really like, you know, like, I'm like, okay, so sun in the 8th house, what's happening to you? People be saying all types of out of the ball shit. So it'll be nice to have real people on and speak further about their solar return charts. That's yet to happen. That's going to happen. See it with me. so that that resource is available to not only you, but the many other descendants to come, because we need to know how to navigate life, baby. Thank you for tuning in to this great informational video. Stay tuned for more. Bye. There we go.